He-Man. I have the power. So, this movie is everything that the interviews with the actors said it was. This is everything also that the critics said already. The critics and the actors, they're both correct about what this movie is. Okay? So, this is a silly movie. A very, very silly movie. Just like the critics said. There's a point in the movie, like when it starts and there's different stuff going on and you're finding out, about Adam and his past and who he is and where he's going, where he was, all that good stuff. You're seeing the villains and stuff. And I was cool with the comedy. Okay? But then the comedy kept going and going. And the jokes over and over and over. Rapid fire. I was like, wow. Whoa. This is more jokey joke than Superman was. To put things in perspective for you folks. They actually touched on the toxic masculinity thing that was spoken of in the interviews? What? What? There were two specific occasions where I felt like they were talking about that. Jared Leto was my favorite character, Skeletor. He stood out. He was the best. I really like him. Like, I seriously like this character. Bravo, sir. Bravo, sir. Teal was cool. I liked her. Adam, I'm half and half with. He-Man, Adam, He-Man. I'm half and half. There were certain things that I liked about him. But he's one of the silliest parts of the movie. He's one of the reasons why the movie is that silly. I mean, like, that silly. I believe the movie has 3 post-credit scenes, just so you know. So stay throughout everything. Someone does show up. The rumor is true. Many of you don't know who I'm talking about, but many of you do. That rhymes ain't to play your game bars, I think. Album dropping next week. At first, I was really liking the special effects. However, there were points, especially with Cringer in later parts of the movie. I was like, well, how come those other characters looked so good? I believe like most of the budget went into Skeletor. I mean, rightfully so, but I wish they had enough money to make everyone, or at least Cringer. I mean, Cringer is Battle Cat. To make him look as real as Skeletor. You know what I'm saying? It had the bright bubblegum feel. It had that bright popping, fluorescent, contrasty colors. And I was okay with that. The fight scenes. They had a lot of power to them in certain points. Okay? Certain points. Like when He-Man would hit, and when he would really hit, I saw it in RPX. So that's like what, Regal Cinemas IMAX or something like that. It was really hitting. I gotta tell you, man. The goofiness, the silliness to it really wears you down. And I was open to it because of how, goofy the cartoon is. However, that doesn't feel like it totally translates properly when you're doing something live action. I mean, there's a lot. And way more silliness and goofiness with Man at Arms than I ever thought there would be. Like too much. Way too much. By the way, they do check several boxes. They check several boxes. It's everything I told you, it's everything that the actors said it would be in interviews, and it's everything that the critics said it would be. It's everything. So you do have a modern audience checking the boxes movie. However, it has some high points and good points with a bunch of silliness that is overbearing. Okay? So, they did give Man at Arms some good, a couple of good fights, some real nice fights that I really liked. But having said all of this, as a He-Man fan, I feel like if I were a child today, when I was a child in the 80s, in love with the series, if this came out then, I feel like I'd have been in love with this movie. By the way, it's actually very brutal and adult in certain scenes. I was like, I'm surprised they said that. I'm surprised they did that. Wow, they killed him like that? Damn. Stuff like that. So, at the end of the day, I was waiting for it to end. I was waiting for it to end. And I could see several people in the theater were waiting for it to end. Only half the theater was full in this early screening. Yeah, I'm surprised. When I went to see, Superman early, I paid $50 for both of them tickets. I remember that. The whole theater was packed. Even all the chairs right up front. However, I'm trying to think of anything else I can add. I like how they did a lot of the characters. Besides, but they did a good job of translating a lot of those characters and their abilities to the screen. To the big screen. They did a good job on that. Okay. Having saying all of that, He-Man is a big old piece of trash. 2 out of 5 woos. Post the comments down below. Let me know what y'all think. If you enjoy. You know what? I'm going to explain something to y'all too. And I wonder if other people that are movie critics or review movies, which is what I do. I don't consider myself a movie critic. When you're sitting there watching a movie, it usually happens somewhere, just the feeling I get, it's usually somewhere near the second act or the beginning of the third act. It's somewhere between the second and third act to where I start to have an idea of how much I'm liking or not liking a movie and what the score could possibly be by the end of the movie. And I will tell you that in the beginning of this movie, and I would say the beginning of the second act, I felt as though it was a 3. Then it went to a 2.5. And they kept on rolling and rolling and rolling with it. And at the end, I couldn't wait to leave. It ended up being a 2. So it started strong. It started at being an above average good time. 2, it's, trash. I do the whole Stone Cold big old piece of trash, as a funny joke to you guys. It's not trash, but I believe that many people will call it trash for real, and they won't like it. They're going to say it's bad, just like I did. I think some people may call it extremely mid. I feel like the overwhelming majority of people aren't going to say it's good to great, but They did some good things when he transformed into He-Man. That was really cool. I liked what they did with that. You might want to cover kids' eyes. You kind of, never mind. You'll know when you see it. His transformation was good. I really like that. His first transformation is good. Every other time after that, they don't put as much into it. But that first transformation is really, really, I really like that. But, boy. 10 million subscribers. Woo!